The Zilonian Empire was dying. Once they ruled 20 star systems with pride. Now they watched their worlds burn one by one. Admiral Kethvor stood on his command ship, the Silver Wing. Through the huge windows, he could see another planet being destroyed. The enemy ships looked like giant metal spiders. They ate everything alive on each world before moving to the next one. These monsters called themselves the Krithak Swarm. They had already eaten 5 Zilonian worlds. Millions of his people were dead. The Zilonian fleet was almost gone. Their best weapons did nothing against these creatures. Every time they tried a new weapon, the Krithak learned how to stop it in just a few hours. Commander Yelasa walked up to the admiral. Her blue skin was pale with fear. Her hands shook as she held the battle reports. "Admiral, we only have 20 ships left. The enemy has over 300. They are too strong. They learn too fast. We cannot win this war." Admiral Kethvor closed his 4 eyes. His people were the smartest in the galaxy. They had technology that other species could only dream about. They looked down on younger races as stupid animals. The humans were especially pathetic. They lived on a world so dangerous that most species would die there in minutes. Yet now, with death coming for his empire, he had no choice. "Send a message to every species we know. Even the primitive ones," he said quietly. "Sir, do you mean the humans too? The ones from that death world called Earth?" Yelasa asked. "Yes, send it to everyone. We need all the help we can get." The message went out across space to every world with intelligent life. It said, "This is Admiral Kethvor of the Zilonian Empire. The Krithak swarm is killing us all. They will not stop with our worlds. They will come for yours next. Any species that can help us fight will be given our best technology and trade deals. Please help us. Time is running out." Far away on Earth, the message reached a big listening station in Nevada. A young officer named Tony Garcia was working the night shift. He was drinking coffee and reading reports when his computer started beeping. The translation program was working hard to decode something new. Tony looked at his screen and couldn't believe what he was reading. Real aliens were asking for help. He grabbed his phone and called his boss right away. "Captain Roberts, you need to get down here now. We just got a message from space. Real aliens are asking for military help." Captain John Roberts had been sleeping, but this woke him up fast. "Are you sure it's real, Tony? Not some joke or test?" "Sir, I've checked it 3 times. The signal came from outside our solar system. The translation computer says they're being attacked by something called the Krithak swarm. They're asking for help from anyone who can fight." Captain Roberts was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Tony, you just became part of history. This is first contact. Keep monitoring that signal. I'm calling General Smith right away." Within an hour, the message was on the desk of every important military leader on Earth. General Helen Smith read it twice before she believed it. She immediately called an emergency meeting at the Pentagon. The meeting room was full of the best military minds from every country. General Smith stood at the front with the alien message displayed on a huge screen behind her. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a drill. We have received a distress call from an alien civilization. They are being destroyed by an enemy called the Krithak swarm. Our scientists believe these Krithak are machines that eat living things to make more of themselves." General Carlos Lopez from Mexico raised his hand. "How do we know this is real? It could be a trick." Dr. Maria Santos, Earth's top space scientist, stood up. "General, I've analyzed the signal for 6 hours. It came from a star system 40 light-years away. The technology needed to send this message is far beyond anything we have. This is real." Admiral Bill Thompson looked worried. "If these aliens are as advanced as they claim, and they can't stop this enemy, what makes them think we can help?" General Smith smiled for the first time that day. "Admiral, maybe they don't know what humans are really like. We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. We're very good at it. Maybe it's time to show the galaxy what Earth's children can do." The debate went on for hours. Some leaders wanted to ignore the message. Others wanted to help. In the end, President Mary Johnson made the final choice. "We're going to help them," she announced. "Not just because it's right, but because if these Krithak win, they might come for Earth next." General Smith, prepare our fleet for immediate deployment. General Smith saluted. Yes, Madam President. I'll contact all our space bases. We'll show these aliens what happens when they ask humans for help. As the meeting ended, nobody knew that this decision would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn that the species from the dangerous world called Earth was not as primitive as they thought. The humans were coming, and they were bringing all their weapons with them. Back in space, Admiral Kethvor waited for replies to his desperate message. He had received some responses from other species, but they were all too weak or too far away to help in time. He was starting to lose hope when a new message arrived. This is General Helen Smith of United Earth Defense. We received your distress call. The human fleet is coming to help you. Hold your position. We'll be there soon. Admiral Kethvor stared at the message in shock. The primitive humans were actually coming to help. He had no idea what they could do against the mighty Krithak swarm, but at least someone was trying. He just hoped they would arrive before his empire was completely destroyed. He had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake of his very long life. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Aliens were real and they needed help. Within 12 hours, every major city had crowds of people watching the sky. Some were scared, others were excited. But the world's leaders had already made their choice. General Helen Smith stood in the biggest meeting room in the Pentagon. Leaders from every country on Earth were there, either in person or on video screens. The alien message was still playing on the wall behind her. Friends, this is the most important day in human history, she began. Real aliens have asked us for help. Our scientists have studied their message. These Krithak are like giant metal locusts that eat everything alive. If we don't stop them there, they might come here next. President Mary Johnson spoke from her chair at the head of the table. General Smith, what kind of military force can we send? Madam President, we have been preparing for space war for 20 years. We have 15 battle fleets ready to launch. Each fleet has 50 ships. That's 750 warships total. We also have the new ships from our secret Mars bases. General Paulo Silva from Brazil looked shocked. Mars bases? We didn't know about any Mars bases. General Smith smiled. That was the point, General. For 10 years we've been building a secret fleet on Mars. We weren't sure if aliens would be friendly or hostile. Now we know there are both kinds out there. Admiral Karen Wells from the British Navy raised her hand. What kind of weapons do these ships have? Everything we could think of, Admiral. Nuclear missiles, railguns, plasma cannons, and some experimental weapons that I can't talk about here. We've learned from every war in human history. These ships are designed to fight and win. Colonel Jack Parker from Australia looked worried. But these aliens have technology far beyond ours. Their own weapons don't work against these Krithak. How can our primitive weapons succeed where theirs failed? Dr. Maria Santos, who had been quiet until now, stood up. Colonel, you're thinking about this wrong. The aliens are too smart for their own good. They make perfect weapons that work perfectly every time. The Krithak learned to counter perfect weapons easily. She walked to the front of the room. Humans don't make perfect weapons. We make weapons that are good enough, cheap enough, and simple enough to mass produce. We make weapons that can be changed quickly. The Krithak won't know how to handle our messy, chaotic way of fighting. General Smith nodded. Exactly. While they were making one perfect laser cannon, we made 1,000 different types of missiles. While they were perfecting their shield technology, we were learning how to punch holes in things with big rocks moving very fast. President Johnson made the final decision. General Smith, you have permission to launch our entire space fleet. Show these aliens what humans can do when we decide to help. The next 3 days were chaos. Every military base on Earth was working around the clock. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid belts came out of hiding. The secret Mars shipyards launched every completed vessel. Space elevators carried supplies up from Earth non-stop. Captain Rick Turner stood on the bridge of the huge battleship, Earth's Hammer. It was the biggest warship humans had ever built. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Around him, hundreds of other ships were getting ready for the longest journey in human history. Captain, all fleets report ready for departure, said Commander Lisa Chang from her station. Captain Turner looked out at the massive fleet. He had never seen so many ships in one place. There were fast attack ships with experimental engines. There were huge carriers full of fighter planes. There were support ships carrying millions of tons of ammunition. And there were the mystery ships from the Black Project's weapons so secret that even he didn't know what they could do. "Commander Chang, open a channel to all ships," he ordered. "Channel open, sir. This is Captain Turner to all ships in the fleet. Today we make history. We are not just fighting for aliens we've never met. We are fighting for the right of all living things to exist. The Krithak think they can eat their way across the galaxy. They're about to learn that humans don't like bullies." The cheers from 700 ships could be heard across the solar system. "All ships, activate your hyperspace drives. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you mess with the children of Earth." One by one, the ships disappeared into hyperspace. The largest military force in human history was on its way to its first battle with aliens. None of them knew if they would come home. But they all knew they had to try. On the lead ship, Captain Turner sat in his command chair and thought about his wife and children back on Earth. He hoped he would see them again, but even if he didn't, he knew he was doing the right thing. Someone had asked for help, and humans always answered when someone needed help. Behind them, Earth watched and waited. Ahead of them, a desperate alien empire was about to discover that sometimes the best help comes from the most unexpected places. The Krithak swarm was about to meet their first real enemy. The humans were coming, and they were bringing everything they had. The human fleet came out of hyperspace like a thunderstorm. Captain Rick Turner stood on the bridge of Earth's Hammer and looked at the battle zone. What he saw made his blood freeze. Pieces of destroyed alien ships floated everywhere. The beautiful Zolonian space station was half destroyed. Giant spider-like ships were eating the metal wreckage like hungry animals. "My God," whispered Commander Lisa Chang. "Look at the size of those things." The Krithak ships were huge. The smallest ones were twice as big as Earth's largest battleships. The biggest ones looked like floating cities made of black metal and sharp edges. They moved through space like living creatures, bending and twisting as they fed on the destroyed Zolonian fleet. "Captain, incoming message from the aliens," said Lieutenant Bob Harris from the communication station. "Put it through, Lieutenant." A weak voice came through the speakers. The translation computer worked hard to make the alien words into English. "Human ships, this is Admiral Kethvor. We did not think you would really come. We have only 15 ships left. The Krithak have over 200 vessels. They are too strong. Their weapons adapt to everything we use against them." Captain Turner opened a channel to reply. "Admiral Kethvor, this is Captain Rick Turner of the Earth Defense Fleet. We came to help, and we're going to finish the job. How long can you hold your position?" "Captain Turner, with respect, you do not understand. We have the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. If we cannot defeat them, how can you?" Captain Turner smiled grimly. "Admiral, you're about to learn the difference between advanced weapons and effective weapons. All human ships, this is Turner. Time to show these metal spiders what Earth's children can do." The human fleet spread out into attack formation. The fast ships moved to the sides. The big battleships stayed in the center. The carriers released thousands of small fighter ships like angry hornets from a nest. Commander Janet Brooks commanded the carrier Neptune's Pride. She watched her fighter pilots prepare for launch. These men and women had trained for this moment, their whole lives. "All pilots, this is Brooks. Remember your training. These things learn from energy weapons. Hit them with everything else we've got." Lieutenant Mike Davis was the first pilot to launch. His fighter was small and fast, carrying nuclear missiles and railgun rounds. "Control, this is Eagle 1. I see the targets. Beginning attack run." The Krithak detected the approaching humans and turned to face them. They had destroyed many alien fleets before. These new ships looked small and weak. The Krithak were not worried. That was their first mistake. Captain Turner gave the order that would change galactic history. "All ships, open fire. Show them what chaos looks like." What happened next shocked everyone watching. The human ships didn't fire in neat formations like other species. They didn't use coordinated attacks or perfect timing. Instead, they fired everything they had in complete chaos. Nuclear missiles streaked through space next to simple explosive rockets. Railguns fired chunks of metal at incredible speed. Plasma cannons shot balls of superheated gas. Some ships even fired old-fashioned bullets from machine guns. It was messy, loud, and completely unpredictable. The Krythak tried to adapt their shields to stop the human weapons, but every time they figured out how to stop one type of weapon, 10 different types would hit them. Their computer brains couldn't keep up with the chaos. Lieutenant Sarah Kim piloted her fighter straight at a Krythak ship 10 times her size. "Come on, you metal spider. Let's dance." She fired her nuclear missiles and then used her railgun to punch holes in the enemy hull. The Krythak ship tried to grab her with mechanical arms, but she was too fast and too crazy. On the big battleship Texas Fury, Captain Joe Martinez was having the time of his life. "Load the kinetic penetrators. Let's see how these bugs handle." Good old-fashioned rocks moving really fast. The kinetic penetrators were simple weapons. They were just chunks of metal with rocket engines. But when they hit at half the speed of light, they went through Krythak armor like bullets through paper. The alien ships had never faced anything so simple and so deadly. Admiral Kethvor watched the battle from his damaged ship. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The humans were winning. Their small ships darted between the huge Krythak vessels, like fish swimming around whales. Their weapons were primitive but effective. Most importantly, they fought like they enjoyed it. "Commander Yelasa, are you seeing this?" he asked his second-in-command. "Yes, Admiral. The humans are destroying Krythak ships faster than we ever did. But their tactics make no sense. They attack without formations. They use different weapons on every ship. How do they coordinate anything?" On Earth's Hammer, Captain Turner was coordinating the battle, but not in the way other species would expect. "All ships, pick your own targets. Use whatever weapons work best. If something stops working, try something else. Keep them guessing." This was how humans had always fought. They adapted quickly. They changed tactics in the middle of battle. They used whatever worked and threw away whatever didn't. The Krythak, with their perfect logical minds, couldn't understand this kind of warfare. Commander Lisa Chang watched the tactical display with amazement. "Captain, we've destroyed over 60 Krythak ships. We've only lost 8 of our own." "That's because we're not fighting their kind of war, Commander. We're fighting our kind of war." The battle turned into a slaughter. The Krythak ships were powerful, but they were built to fight predictable enemies. Humans were anything but predictable. When energy weapons stopped working, humans switched to kinetic weapons. When kinetic weapons got blocked, they used nuclear bombs. When nuclear bombs were intercepted, they rammed their ships into enemy. Hull's Lieutenant Mike Davis found himself surrounded by 3 Krythak fighters. His weapons were empty and his shields were down. Any other species would have surrendered. Instead, he smiled and pushed his engines to maximum. "If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me." He rammed his fighter into the largest Krythak ship. At full speed, the explosion took out all 3 enemy vessels. After 4 hours of chaos, the battle was over. The space around Kepler Station was full of floating Krythak wreckage. The human fleet had destroyed the entire enemy force with minimal losses. Admiral Kethvor stared at the aftermath in complete shock. The primitive humans had done what his advanced civilization could not. They had beaten the unbeatable Krythak swarm. Captain Turner opened a communication channel. "Admiral Kethvor, this is Captain Turner. The immediate threat has been neutralized. But according to our intelligence, this was just a scouting force. The real Krythak fleet is much bigger and will arrive soon." The Zolonian admiral's voice was filled with new respect. "Captain Turner, how did you defeat them so easily? What kind of weapons do your people possess?" Captain Turner looked at the wreckage of the enemy fleet and smiled. "The most dangerous weapons in the galaxy, Admiral. Human weapons. We call them conventional arms, but they're forged in the fires of a world that tries to kill everything on it every single day. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the best warriors come from the most dangerous places, and Earth was the most dangerous place of all." 3 days after the battle, the Zolonian leaders came aboard the human flagship to meet their saviors. Admiral Kethvor had expected to greet crude warriors with primitive weapons. Instead, he found himself face to face with Captain Rick Turner, a calm professional who had just saved his entire civilization. The meeting room on Earth's Hammer was simple but impressive. Captain Turner sat at a metal table with his senior officers. The Zilonians entered slowly, their blue skin pale with shock and wonder. "Admiral Kethvor, welcome aboard," Captain Turner said, standing to greet his guests. "I hope your injured are recovering well." "Captain Turner, our medical teams are amazed by your field hospitals. Your doctors saved many lives that we thought were lost. We owe you a debt we can never repay." Captain Turner gestured to chairs around the table. "Admiral, let me introduce my team. This is Commander Lisa Chang, our tactical expert. She also has a degree in alien biology. Lieutenant Commander Bob Martinez, who designed our kinetic weapons. He used to be a construction worker before joining the fleet." Admiral Kethvor looked confused. "Construction worker? Your military officers have civilian jobs?" "Every human wears many hats, Admiral. We can't afford to waste talent. Commander Chang here speaks 6 languages and has studied warfare for 20 years. Lieutenant Martinez built skyscrapers before he started building weapons. We use every skill we have." "Against you." Zilonian's large eyes grew even wider. "Your species combines many abilities in each individual. This is unusual." General Helen Smith had arrived on a transport ship with Earth's top scientists and diplomats. She joined the meeting with news that made everyone uncomfortable. "Admiral Kethvor, our analysis teams have been studying the destroyed Krithak ships. We have bad news. This was just a scouting force. The real Krithak swarm is at least 100 times larger and will arrive in 4 months. The Zilonian admiral's hands began to shake. 100 times larger? But they destroyed 4 of our worlds with just this small force. How can we possibly survive the main attack? That's why we're proposing a joint defense plan, General Smith continued. Human tactics combined with Zilonian technology. We teach you how to fight unpredictably. You help us upgrade our weapons with your advanced science. Over the next several days, the Zilonians learned things about humans that shocked them to their core. Dr. Maria Santos showed them Earth's history through holographic displays. Wars that lasted decades. Civilizations that fought with sticks and stones then developed nuclear weapons in just a few centuries. A species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times but always survived. Your people have been fighting. For how long? Asked Commander Yelasa, staring at images of human battles throughout history. About 10,000 years of recorded warfare. Dr. Santos replied casually. We've gotten pretty good at it. Every weapon you saw us use has been tested in real combat against other humans. Admiral Kethvor was horrified. You fight your own species? We used to, a lot. Now we mostly work together. But the experience taught us how to adapt quickly. When someone develops a new weapon, someone else develops a counter for it within months. It made us very creative. Captain Turner showed the Zilonians something that amazed them even more. In just 1 week, human engineers had completely reverse-engineered a captured Krithak ship. They understood how it worked, and had already designed 3 different ways to destroy it. This is impossible, said Kelthar, the Zilonian chief scientist. It took our best minds 2 years to partially understand Krithak technology. How did you do it so quickly? Lieutenant Commander Bob Martinez grinned. We didn't try to understand it perfectly. We just figured out how to break it. Much easier. But that is so crude. Crude but effective. We don't need to know why something works. We just need to know how to stop it from working. The real shock came when Dr. Jennifer Walsh, Earth's expert on artificial intelligence, demonstrated how humans could disrupt Krithak communications. She had created a computer virus that would spread through their hive mind network like a disease. The Krithak think in patterns, she explained. Perfect, logical patterns. This virus creates random noise in their communications. It drives their collective intelligence crazy. You can attack their minds? Admiral Kethvor asked in amazement. We can attack anything, Admiral. Minds, bodies, machines, even ideas. Humans are very good at finding weaknesses. As word spread through the galaxy about humanity's victory, other alien species began to take notice. The Thraxians, who had ignored the Zalonian distress call, suddenly wanted to meet these primitive humans. The Vorthon Empire, which had never lost a war, requested copies of human tactical manuals. Captain Turner received messages from dozens of alien civilizations. Some wanted to trade. Others wanted military alliances. A few wanted to surrender before humans decided they were enemies. "Admiral, I think we may have created a bigger problem," Captain Turner told Admiral Kethvor during one of their daily meetings. "The galaxy is afraid of us now." "They should be," the Zalonian replied. "Captain, in one afternoon, your species did what no other civilization has ever accomplished. You completely destroyed a Krethak force with minimal losses. Every species in the galaxy is asking the same question. What else can humans do?" The answer came 4 months later when the main Krethak swarm arrived. It was massive beyond imagination. Over 20,000 ships of various sizes, some as large as moons. They came expecting to find the same weak resistance they had always encountered. Instead, they found a combined fleet of human and Zalonian ships using hybrid technology and tactics that defied all logic. The battle lasted 2 weeks and covered 3 star systems. When it was over, the Krethak swarm was completely extinct. Not defeated, not scattered, but totally eliminated as a threat to all life in the galaxy. The cost was high. Earth lost over 200 ships and 50,000 brave men and women. But they had saved not just the Zalonian Empire, but potentially every living world in the galaxy. Admiral Kethvor stood with Captain Turner on the observation deck of the rebuilt Kepler station. They watched human construction ships building permanent defense platforms throughout Zalonian space. "Captain, I must ask you something that has been troubling me. When we sent that distress call, we expected maybe a few ships from primitive allies. Instead, your entire civilization mobilized to help complete strangers. Why?" Captain Turner was quiet for a moment, watching Earthships work alongside Zalonian vessels. "Admiral, humans have a simple rule. When someone is in trouble and asks for help, you help them. It doesn't matter if they're strangers. It doesn't matter if they think you're primitive. Someone needed help, so we helped. But now the galaxy fears us. They call humans the most dangerous species in known space. Only to our enemies, Admiral. We prefer peace, but we're very good at war when it's necessary. The galaxy just learned that Earth's children don't abandon their friends." As the human fleet prepared to return home, they left behind a galaxy forever changed. The age of human isolation was over. Humanity had announced its presence with fire and thunder, and the universe would never be the same. The Zalonians had asked for help from primitive aliens. Instead, they had awakened the most dangerous friends in the galaxy, and they were very grateful for their mistake.